Hello. First, I'll warn you, this video could be a little more diving deeper into your emotional being. So uh, take it slowly and don't think too much. Um, you know, some people on this channel, I feel like a large portion of at least the ones that are posting comments and stuff, I feel like they've gotten a lot better. And maybe you guys have followed me along on my road where I also was in a bad place and I got a lot better. Now, I want to keep saying that I do this channel for free. I'm not making any money. I'm also not a doctor. So, but I do give some of my personal experiences in hopes that it might help you too. When it comes to having some problems with anxiety or depression for a long time, more than, say, a few weeks, this is something that is also possible to solve and get much, much better. And I just wanted to talk about that a little bit because sometimes when we have something serious happen, in many cases, tinnitus was one of the worst things that ever happened to some people that have been following me on this channel, and it just put them in a place where they're having trouble getting to a better place. And there is hope. There always is hope, and it's important to first recognize that there's a way. There's a way to get better. Sometimes there are short-term remedies, like we just do things like breathing techniques and meditation, and we start learning to change our thoughts. And when we hear the sound, we try to make a positive association about the sound rather than a negative one. I know it's easy to make a negative association, but just like there's sounds in our life, those sounds are not necessarily positive or negative, and this is a sound in our life, and we don't necessarily have to trash ourselves. We don't have to be mean to ourselves and say, this is so terrible, I can't live with it. We have to learn to say, this is a sound I'm okay with. And it can really change the way the brain thinks about the sound and the way you're able to just get to a better place. I'm not saying the sound is a wonderful thing, but in a way I am saying you can think that way a little bit more, and it will actually make a big difference in your chemistry and your thinking and your brain, how it all works. And just learning to divert your attention to doing other things where you just read or play games, or don't play too many computer games, or study a language, or draw, or sing, or exercise. All these things where you have to use your brain to be doing something helps you to not think so much about the tinnitus. But I also wanted to say that there are still a few people that are sort of like, I think, still feel like they haven't quite gotten there yet, and they still have a lot of maybe problems with anxiety or depression. And maybe it's not just the tinnitus, right? It could be some other things too. But a lot of times when we already had an underlying problem with anxiety, like I did, I didn't even know it, the tinnitus can make that worse, and then we really get to a place that's even harder for us. And like for me, I had to take some mind medications and things like that to get better. Now, I don't want to talk too much about my personal journey, with some private matters and things like that. But I do want to just talk about the longer term getting better thing, not just the short term remedy. So often, if you do the things I've been talking about, you don't need this on this video. So you can even, if you're kind of been getting better and you're getting a lot better, you can stop now. Maybe you don't need to listen to everything. But I do, if you feel like you're just really not quite getting there, I want to just talk to you a little bit, and just kind of heart to heart, because I don't want to make you feel like you have to do this all at once. But I want to ask you, like, are there maybe some things in your life, maybe in your personal relationships with other people, where you feel like you're kind of stuck, and you can't express yourself, or you can't be the person who you really are. And maybe you've been being that person who you can't be for a long time. You really want to let that person come out, but you feel very stuck. Maybe it's your spouse. You have sort of accepted the way they are, but in a way you can't be who you are, and then that's really hard for you. So I just want you to like examine some of the things about who you are and your beliefs, and how do you have somebody inside you that wants to come out, who wants to be happy and express themselves. A lot of times, and sometimes doing that can actually improve your relationships with other people, not necessarily make them worse, but people live in fear of doing that. They're afraid of what the other person might respond to. So we just stay the same way that we are. And that can really just keep us in the place that we are. So when it comes to being who you really are, what are some things you could do to maybe learn about that a little bit more, to explore that a little bit more without really jumping into dangerous territory, you know? Maybe you're not ready to go talk to, it might not be your spouse, it might be your brother or your mother, or, where you can't talk to them. But maybe this is something you need to at least start thinking about. Imagine what it might be like if your relationship was better with them. Imagine what it might be like if you said those words that you want to say, but you never have felt you could. Maybe you should write them down. Maybe you should start a diary. And, it's well established that if you start writing things down about your feelings, it helps you to sort of get it out of you and onto paper. Another thing you can do when you're alone and no one else can hear you, get in front of the mirror and talk to that person, even though they're not there. Imagine saying what you would say to them if they were there. And you can start to develop your thoughts about this, writing, speaking. Maybe it's not another person, maybe it's you. Maybe there's something you've always wanted to do, and you felt like you couldn't be the person you are. Write it down. Write down what you want to be. Right? Say to yourself in the mirror who you want to be. These are things that can really start to challenge you. And as you start having these kind of thoughts, I just want to warn you, it can put you in a worse place temporarily, because you're starting to expose that soft shell that maybe you've been protecting for a long time. So I don't want you to feel like you have to suddenly do this, but you can start writing some things down, talking to yourself. And if it does kind of open up something a little bit, maybe feel that a little bit. But if you're not ready for it, close it back up for a little while and say, I don't have to do this all right now. I can take my time. And, but I'm trying to think. There's a lot of different sayings by people in history. There's something about how the life unexamined is not as worthwhile as one that is examined. So you could just at least start this process of examining who you are, what you want, some of the things you've always wanted to do or say or express and you couldn't. And just by doing that may start to uncover a really beautiful person waiting inside to come out. And it can be so beautiful when you do that. So I want you to also see there can be benefits to doing this, but you just have to do it over a period of time. And so there's such a beautiful person waiting there inside you that can even become more beautiful than you are now and do wonderful things in your life. Sometimes things like art and singing and dancing and any way where you can express yourself. These are also things where whatever's inside there, you can sort of let it out. Go move your body around and feel some sort of emotion that you have, a passion. Play some heart, some music that really touches your heart, and feel the emotions. Oftentimes, people are a little bit afraid of their emotions, and that's why I say you've got to sort of open up the vent a little bit slowly, and you might find that one day it just opens up in a wonderful, wonderful way. But when you start kind of looking inside, saying, "Oh, I've got some things lurking inside there. I'm not ready to handle this right now," close it back up, and then come back, another time and look at it again. But don't think of it like a totally negative thing. Think about it as opening yourself up in a positive way, not something like where you've been wanting to say something and you want to say something in anger. That is not what I'm talking about at all. I'm talking about if you were really being that happy person that expresses yourself the way you want to express yourself when you're a happy person, that kind of person. We want to bring that person out. Yeah. So it's kind of an interesting topic today. I'm kind of interested to know if you have any feedback about what I said. I feel like this is something I did, and I'm in a better place now because of it, and I'm thankful. So let me know what you think. Okay, I'll see you. Bye-bye.